Sabrina 70s comic issue 37. Sabrina thinks she'll never be able to do her Christmas shopping because it's snowing so heavily. Well, I guess their logic is, well, no, even if people see her warp into or right in front of the mall, she'll still be able to erase their memory of what happened. And of course, people would get suspicious and really confused if it suddenly stopped snowing for no scientific reason. So she thinks she can't get away with that for some reason. I mean, even though she could have part of her spell be that people won't question it, she decides to use her magic to help her make it through the snow. Is it gonna backfire? While flying on her broom, it flies into a gray bell hanging from a rope, and she falls onto a pine tree. Then she wonders how she'll fight her way through the crowd. She does the most redundant thing ever and summons a genie. Oh, never mind, it makes sense. She gives him her money and tells him to take care of her shopping list. And he's a genie, so he has to agree. It's pretty interesting that a witch can do this, just summon a slave whenever they want. It speaks to her and Hilda's integrity that they don't do this all the time. But wouldn't it make more sense for Hilda to have done this than expect her niece to do stuff like go to a haunted house to get her potion ingredients? She lampshades that she should have thought of this time saver years ago. But then somehow, it backfires. That's because he brings her junky old things, because she gave him the wrong list, the list of things she wanted to donate to charity. At least that's an understandable mistake, I guess. So she says she'll get the presents herself, and he warps away as she at least says thanks anyways. I'd like to see this a lot more often. She's at least nice to him. Hours later, she gets all the presents home and uses magic to wrap all of the presents, but forgot to label which presents go to whom. So she'll have to unwrap and rewrap everything. Why is she unwrapping without magic? Sabrina took all night to wrap all the presents. Then Hilda, in a yank the dog's chain moment, after all of that, says that she has some very sad news to report. She says that because bullshit, the comet Isar appearing for the next 7 days will mean that they'll have no witch powers during the Christmas holidays. Somehow that's good news to Sabrina. I wish she explained that's because her magic keeps backfiring on her. That's probably it. But still, she could use magic to wrap all the presents immediately instead of taking all night. So is the comet enchanted and the enchantment takes away their magic for a while? Does it have a magic magnet? But why? I guess an especially spiteful group of witches made the comment like that. Maybe they actually had good intentions. Maybe they do it to witches because they know witches advocate abusing their powers against mortals in this comic. And they just wish the comet could always be around Earth. But couldn't they cast a spell to make it like that? Maybe if potion ingredients creating a specific spell makes sense, then the specific materials of the comet having this effect somehow makes sense. In the next story, Sabrina happily asks Hilda what she's doing here when Harvey's ice fishing. I like that they remembered he can fish. Bringing up a specific hobby of a character more often makes him feel like more of a deeper character. Hilda wants to show him up even though she's never done it in her life. I was hoping she did because she's been around for hundreds of years. So she has all the time in the world to learn new hobbies. She'd be so bored of life by now if she didn't, and lived every day the same way. He says that first, she has to chop a hole in the ice with an axe, because they're not Big the Cat, who can just throw a conveniently placed boulder at the ice. So that's how people actually do it. Hilda casts a spell to make the hole fast, which Harvey lampshades, and she changes the subject and asks for some bait. He tells her to sit here and wait for a bite, and she naturally gets bored and complains that it's freezing. So her witch costume really isn't heated. Why not? She's magical. Instead, she makes a fire to get warm on the ice. And she wrapped the string around her leg for no good reason, so a big fish sends her into the frozen pond. Harvey immediately saves her successfully, and he's laughing despite the severity of the situation and the fact that he looks worried. He says that he tried to let her know ice fishing is for men, even though anyone could do it, and that's what happened to a man too. Huh? That came out of nowhere. It makes sense. He's done this before, and at least we're supposed to think he's an idiot. So it's probably being mocked. He says that both of them should go home and get some dry clothes. and Sabrina doesn't want her aunt to catch cold. Shouldn't Harvey hear Hilda cast a spell right behind him? He does nothing but catch objects instead of fish, just as I was thinking that he could sell the supposed junk and make money, and then dismiss the idea because there's no eBay yet. The story ends with Harvey being smart enough to sell all the antiques. He sold every antique for $1. Okay, he's still an idiot. But at least he made enough money to take Sabrina to dinner in the movies. Why did she make it so that he fished up stuff with some value instead of just boots and cans? And I'm guessing there was a big time skip, so he could have the time to put up flyers advertising his new antique stall outside. Or he called a bunch of people. In the next story, which is called Fire Sale, reminding me directly of Arrested Development, Hilda tells Sabrina to take these potato chips away from her because if she eats any more, she'll lose her appetite. And Sabrina's cooking up a nice surprise. She's told to hide the chips while Hilda watches the movie on TV. Is Sabrina gonna screw that up too? She could warp the chips to the moon. She congratulates Hilda on her wonderful willpower, making me wonder if she'll disappoint her. She asks Harvey to run down to the store for her with a list. Hilda can't find the chips she predictably looks for, and Sabrina says that they're gonna eat as soon as Harvey brings back the thing she needs. Someone smoking just outside his store throws the lit match in his bag, and it burns the paper. Sabrina's been making chili. At least she can cook at her age. She hopes Harvey could find the super hot peppers. And Hilda says, "You're in luck, Sabrina. I think he's got them." And the story ends with him running over to her still carrying the flaming bag. Wow, that's dedication. Especially for a guy who will cheat on her. That might have been an out of character moment like him playing practical jokes. In the next story, we see a witch doctor in front of Hilda speaking gibberish. I'm pretty sure the last time we saw a witch doctor, he looked like a normal guy, which was missed opportunity. Right now, I'm just wondering if, 1, someone thought this was racist, and 2, I'm wondering why he doesn't even so much as have a tan. Sabrina tells Ambrose to do something, because what will the neighbors think? They can just keep all the curtains in their house closed. Ambrose says that Hilda has these weak spells, so she had to send for a doctor. Sabrina thinks this is awful, and Hilda's starting to feel better already. So is the doctor saying spells in his native language? Why couldn't Hilda cure herself with a spell? If her literal spells are weak, doesn't that mean that she needs to recharge with that battery she has in her house? Hilda tries to fetch a cup of coffee with magic. Ambrose drags it out by warning her that her spells are so weak and spoiling the punchline that of course it falls. It falls on the witch doctor's foot, and thankfully he realistically can talk in English and tells her, "Dumb witch! Couldn't you wait till I said you were cured?" He curses her, and didn't cure one bit. Isn't that going to be against the Hippocratic Oath? Wouldn't she be able to sue him? Wouldn't Ambrose just curse him? And freeze him in an ice cube? Ambrose calls a normal doctor. Somehow he shines a light directly through Hilda's head. And she finally asks him, "How do you expect to cure me without weird chants or beating me any bat wings?" He gives her a shot, and she panics and overreacts. So she assumes he's a quack because apparently this has never happened before. I guess witch doctors cast spells to send vaccines into people. Wouldn't he have warned her first and told her what the shot was for? The story ends with the doctor being turned into a duck, while Ambrose reveals that the doctor did put some strength back in the old spells. So I guess what really happened was her temporary witch illness went away? Who did she catch it from? I guess someone at the witch mart. But then why didn't Ambrose and Sabrina catch it? I guess her immune system is weaker. The first story is about Sabrina using magic to try to do her Christmas shopping and gift wrapping, but it backfires on her. Typical. After all, that's what the whole plot was going to be about. Well, I never saw her summon a genie to help her before, and at least she was nice to him instead of punishing him for her own mistake. But she would have just fixed all the problems she caused by using magic, by using more magic. The second story is about Hilda failing at ice fishing because she was somehow stupid enough to tie the string to her foot. And then when she curses Harvey to only fish up non-fish, he's actually smart enough to sell what he fished up anyways. Why didn't she make him only fish up boots? That was common sense. The third story is about a guy throwing a lit match into the paper bag of chili peppers that Harvey bought for Sabrina for no reason. So he rushes home with the paper bag on fire. I guess the shop was surprisingly close to the house, because wouldn't the entire bag have been destroyed really quickly? As soon as Sabrina told Hilda that she wouldn't get to eat until Harvey came back, I assumed Harvey would make him come back sooner with magic, or warp stuff to her. The final story is about the witch doctor hired to cure Hilda's confusing weak spells leaving because she didn't let him finish, and then she panics at a real doctor's needle and turns him into a duck. She's kind of right about him being a quack because you'd expect a real doctor to warn her before jabbing her with the needle and tell her exactly what it is, which would have easily avoided him being turned into a duck. And the witch doctor had way too little patience and way too much of a temper.